The whole world is talking about The Last of Us, the hit 2013 video game that spun off into a TV series. HBO spent more than $10 million per episode, making it one of the most expensive TV shows to shoot, and the episodes are averaging over 30 million viewers. And while you've heard of the show, you probably didn't know it was entirely filmed in Alberta, Canada. Alberta is the perfect place to film a show like this. It's home to the beautiful cities of Calgary and Edmonton, the Rocky Mountains, and the prairies. HBO used as many existing locations as they could, but what we're about to see is that many of those scenes were constructed from scratch. This is where the quarantine zone was filmed. Right over here is where the fortress wall was constructed. Somewhere over here is where the bodies were being burned, and this is where the people were being hung. I'm sure this entire area was filled with blue screens to make it look more post-apocalyptic. Some of the other shots from this location required a lot less construction and special effects, like when Joel met the guard. Alberta may not be known as the Hollywood of Canada, but with its diverse locations and distinct seasons, you'll see why that's about to change. I'm Davey, and I love taking you guys behind the scenes, and today, it's for The Last of Us. This is the 4th Avenue flyover.
I plan to go on this road, but it's pretty busy and I don't think it's very safe.
Without getting on the road, we can see that this is where that scene was filmed. Memorial Drive and the flyover were closed and hundreds of cars were brought in. The skyline of Calgary was changed to make it look more like Boston. This building was used as the Bostonian Museum.
I'm pretty sure most of the buildings from episode 2 were CGI, but this guy right here is pretty recognizable.
This building is in Victoria Park, which is actually just across the street from some of my favorite places to eat and drink. I remember walking on this street when HBO was filming, but I had no idea that it would actually be for The Last of Us.
I'm not going to be showing you inside because we all know what happened in there.
Next on our tour of Alberta, we're headed north to the capital of our province, Edmonton.
So we're in Edmonton, Alberta, and this is the Alberta Legislature building, or as Edmontonians call it, the Ledge. I believe most of the interior scenes were filmed in here, but it's closed today so we can't go inside.
I think it's one of the most beautiful buildings in the whole province, so I can see why they used it.
I think I found where Ellie was standing when the building was burning down, but I do think that this part of the building is CGI. Episode 3, back to Calgary. So you've booked your tickets to Alberta, maybe you're coming for the Calgary Stampede, and you've got a couple extra days to kill and want to see some of these locations. Well, I got you covered.
I made a map that shows all the locations I'll be visiting with photos of what scenes were filmed there. On top of that, the map includes a few of my personal favorite cafes, restaurants, and places to visit. If that sounds interesting to you, you can find the link to the map in the description of this video.
This is Fish Creek Provincial Park, and I hope I'm in the right place. There's a lot of bridges in this area, and I've gone to the wrong one a couple times. This might be it. This is looking good. I'm pretty sure this is the same bridge we're looking for. Next stop, Priddis.
Priddis is a small community southwest of Calgary. I did manage to find the gas station I was looking for, and it looks like HBO painted the whole thing white, or maybe they used CGI, and they removed the building behind it as well. Priddis is right next to Sandian Provincial Park, which is an area with a lot of fields and rolling hills. I have a feeling this is where that plane crash scene was filmed, but there's no hope of me finding this exact frame. This is where Bill and Frank's house was filmed. From what I can tell, an entire neighborhood was built right here. This area is called Beechwood, and the Alberta flood of 2013 destroyed this area, and it's now abandoned.
The once pristine Prairie River community covered in water, completely at the mercy of the river.
I'm actually walking on a road. The old homes would have been here.
It's tough to know exactly where everything was built, especially in the snow, but I believe that the majority of the homes were constructed. There was a quick shot of a Home Depot that I did manage to find in the neighborhood of Shaughnessy.
Since filming, I think they're turning this into a different kind of store, and we can see that they've already changed the front of the building. I'm just south of Strathmore, and I'm looking for this gas station. I've been driving around and using Google Maps, and it is nowhere to be found. However, I did find a tweet from the DP of this episode saying that everything was built on site. So we're gonna leave this one up to our imagination. This is the airport tunnel, and this is where Joel and Ellie were looking to get through to Kansas City.
I posted online that I found out which tunnel was used, and I got a surprising amount of responses from people who were really passionate about racing their loud cars through here. This might be one of the most recognizable shots of Calgary in the whole show, and that's because of the Globe Cinema. I have some theories about this specific scene, and to hear those, you can head over to my Instagram account to see what I'm talking about. The Kansas City alley, where the majority of this episode was filmed, was not hard to find. An entire block of downtown Calgary was completely transformed, and the laundromat the truck crashed into was built from scratch. My friend Jacob actually watched the scene being filmed from his apartment. After finding all these locations in downtown Calgary, I don't know if I can look at these locations the same again.
Remember that building that had its door broken down? It's all a construction site now. It would have been right here. Episode 5 started with a riot in the streets. My best guess is that 6th Ave downtown Calgary needed to be shut down for this to happen. Right next to the riots is the Calgary Court Centre Parkade building, and the front of this was transformed to look like a government building. A new front of the building was added, along with lampposts, sandbags, and a bunch of vehicles. I'm sure that setting up this area took weeks, and it's only on screen for like 45 seconds. Not too far from where Sam and Henry were hiding was the building that had the entrance to the tunnel.
This spot looked like any old office building inside. It had a food court, a bunch of people walking around in suits, and the entrance to the tunnel was actually a doorway to the bike room and the loading dock. That leads us to one of the most exciting scenes in the entire series, the Kansas City Showdown. This scene was unreal, and I couldn't wait to see what this location looked like.
Well, this is the spot. As amazing as Calgary is, not everything could be shot at an existing location, which is why things were shot here, on this empty lot.
This space was transformed into a neighborhood. Thanks to Eben on Twitter again, he shared that these homes were built, there was elaborate lighting setups that were used, and the goal was to capture as much in camera as possible. I think something that makes shows like The Last of Us so powerful is that we grow to love the characters, and then they're killed off. This motel is in Nanton, and it's where one of the most devastating scenes took place. Episode 6 starts with a cabin in the wilderness, which is a common thing to find in the mountains of Alberta. But I did some searching and found that this one's part of CL Western Town and Backlot, where there's all kinds of Western homes and cabins that can be rented for movies.
I think the location scouts did a great job choosing this bridge. This is the Canmore Engine Bridge, and it's in Canmore, Alberta on a popular walking path. If I had to give some feedback to the editors of this scene, I'd say keep an eye out for the crew members in the corner. Or maybe I'm the only one that noticed this. Just over an hour away from Calgary is the town of Canmore. Canmore is great because you can still enjoy the mountains and avoid the crowds of Banff.
It's a great spot for weekend mountain getaways, outdoor activities like climbing, cross-country skiing, and hiking, and they also have amazing bagels.
The main street in Canmore was closed for a few weeks, and the Fortress Gate was built right here. It looks like many of the buildings had false fronts added to them to make the town look more western. It was nice to see that Thing from the Addams Family made a cameo as well. This is SAIT, the Southern Alberta Institute of Technology. The first half of the university scenes were shot here. If you do happen to make it to SAIT, there's a really killer view of downtown Calgary that I recommend you check out.
The second half of the scene is actually filmed in a different location called Mount Royal University. What did you think of the chase scene on the horse during this episode? Did the horse look a little off? I found this behind the scenes photo on Reddit, which confirmed my suspicions that this horse was fake.
This isn't good. I don't know what happened, but this used to be a mall.
Maybe this still is a mall? This says entrance.
From what I can tell, the mall is being revitalized and turned into an open-air shopping center, which means that the majority of this mall has been torn down.
That used to be the mall, but they've blocked it off.
I remember visiting this mall when I was younger, and I don't think there was a second floor, which I'm guessing was added with special effects. I found the color scheme in this scene very interesting. Is this a nod to the lesbian flag? From what I understand, the carousel that was used was real and was borrowed from Spruce Meadows, which is an equestrian facility in town. In one of the most beautiful locations in Alberta, we meet the ugliest character yet. This is Waterton Lakes National Park, and it's one of Alberta's most underrated parks, which is why you've probably never heard of it. The opening shot was taken beside the iconic Prince of Wales Hotel.
It's very quiet and snowy in the winter months, which makes sense why HBO would want to shoot here.
When I saw this specific shot of Joel, I felt like I was actually watching the video game. I know the creators of the show did their best to keep it as true to the game as possible. While I've been finding all these locations in Alberta, Andrew Levitt has been running around the US, finding the real-life locations that the game was modeled after.
I gotta say I'm impressed with the show. Its capital is pretty close to the real thing. But I'm even more impressed at how realistic the capital is in the game. They copied real life more than high schoolers using ChatGPT, so I'm gonna real quick run you through it. There's the building, the roof, the fence, the signs.
Andrew's made some incredible videos, many of which compare video games to real-life locations. You're not going to want to miss his video, so head over to his channel to watch, or click the link in the description of this video. Okotoks' previous movie claim to fame was when their baseball stadium was used in Interstellar.
Now they have a post-apocalyptic thriller drama to add to that list.
The neighborhood of Suntree was used for many of these shots. The last episode follows Joel and Ellie on the final leg of their journey to Salt Lake City. The alley that they walk through is once again in downtown Calgary. While I believe that a lot of Salt Lake City was created with blue screens, the building that Joel and Ellie enter is actually real and is under construction, so I imagine that set dressing wasn't that difficult. Like we've seen many times before, the show has transformed another empty lot, and this time it was made to look like a field hospital. I did find it interesting that many of the buildings in the background were still recognizable though. This epic hospital scene was filmed in the northern city of Grande Prairie, Alberta, and the hospital had just finished being built around the time of filming. I imagine I would not be able to roam around the hospital with my camera, for obvious reasons.
The final scene of the season takes us back to one of the best places in Alberta, the mountains. And this time, we're in Kananaskis. I've parked at Barrier Lake, and I'm about to do a short hike to the lookout. Usually you can drive right up to the lookout, but the road is closed for the winter.
I can't believe that we did it. We visited every single location that The Last of Us was filmed in Alberta. This passion project has been a great reminder at how beautiful and inspiring my home province of Alberta is. Don't forget to check out the map I've made for you. It's in the description. It has directions to all of the locations in this video and more. Hit subscribe to follow me on this YouTube journey, and don't forget that every like on this video means that I'm one step closer to working with HBO or on something bigger. Otherwise, I'll see you when you come visit Alberta.